Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. More often than not, environmental concerns outlined by employees are centered on poor air quality due to mold. This issue is not a new one. However, an influx of cases has warranted the Minister for Labour to address the matter. King notes that a three-pronged approach must be implemented to curtail the spread of mold.
An increase in reports of mold infestation has left many fearful of the legitimate health concerns surrounding contact with mold. Exposure to damp and moldy environments may cause a variety of health effects, from throat irritation, eye irritation, wheezing, coughing, and skin irritation, to name a few. Former Health Minister Stephenson King outlined a proactive approach to the concern of mold infestation, which he noted is a long-standing issue in St. Lucia.
It's not anything new. Probably there's greater sensitivity to mold in our country now, and therefore the response to that has to be threefold. One, greater awareness, greater education to the people of St. Lucia on mold. Two, a national action plan in terms of how do we deal with mold, and to allow it to be a conscious and environmental issue that can be dealt by all, at home and at work. Thirdly, in all of our public and private sector institutions, there must be protocols in as far as occupational health and safety to dealing with issues of mold particularly.
As the current Minister for Labour, Stephenson King, says, the issue is one which weighs heavy within the industrial relations realm as it relates to work environment and health and safety of employees.
The ever-evolving issues within the industrial climate moves away to a greater extent from dealing with matters of wages and salaries, etc., to one of the what I call the technological advancement that is taking place, its impact on trade unionism, but also health and safety issues, particularly in St. Lucia at this time, and that is mold. If you were to do an assessment of the downtime and the impact on productivity in this country, you'd probably find that the impact wasn't or isn't caused by industrial action for salaries and wages. It is mainly mold in a number of cases. In the public service, we've had for the last 5, 6 or so years more downtime in the public service as a consequence of mold.
King stated the issue of mold infestation is one which affects both old and new infrastructure. For that reason, he noted, a level of analysis must be conducted on a scientific level to curb the issue.
It means that we in government and in the Department of Labour, even in the Department of Infrastructure, must take this very seriously and do the necessary scientific research to see what exactly can be done, what are the best practices throughout the world in dealing with issues of mold. And that is an issue which I've asked my buildings unit to look into to see whether we can adopt some protocols. Protocols in as far as cleaning. Are we dealing with cleaning on a day-to-day basis properly? In some instances, you go to places and you see the methods being used. Are we adopting really what I call first-class, first-world protocols in cleaning our buildings? So there are a number of issues here, and I hope that at some stage we can deal with them.
Mold will grow in places with high levels of moisture, such as pipes, windows, and roofs. In other cases, areas where there has been flooding. Mold can also grow on paper products, carpet, paint, upholstery, and ceiling tiles. Mold growth, which often looks like spots, can be many different colors and can smell musty. If you see or smell mold, a health risk may be present. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Sola Jalfred.
Students of the Castries Comprehensive Secondary School are the island's most recent recipients of the Caribbean Vocational Qualification Certificates. During the presentation ceremony of the certificates, officials spoke on the progress and future of TVET education in St. Lucia. Jacques Wooding reports.
Local students are now being afforded the opportunity to achieve new levels of competence in core work practices of various occupations, consistent with levels within the Regional Qualifications Framework via the Caribbean Vocational Qualification. In order to receive the CVQ award, candidates must demonstrate competence reaching CARICOM-approved occupational standards developed by practitioners and employers through the Ministry of Education's TVET unit, which is responsible for overseeing technical and vocational education. Programs have been commissioned at various secondary schools on island, including the Castries Comprehensive Secondary School, which is noted as being one of which to successfully nurture a cadre of CVQ qualified personnel. In a presentation ceremony held to commemorate the students' achievement, Principal Marva Daniels underscored the relevance of such initiatives.
The establishment of technical and vocational education and training is a fundamental part of our nation's attempt to build its people. And this curriculum at CCSS affords our students the opportunity to enhance productivity and, of course, to become more empowered, positioned, and employable, and obviously thus reducing most of the economic duress within the families, the communities, and of course our country.
Education officer from the TVET unit, Colvis Samuel, said that it is a proud moment to see such initiatives be fruitful. He addressed the students on the importance of creating practical avenues as they pursue further education.
This certification allows you to not only operate in St. Lucia, but also operate outside of St. Lucia. We can only absorb a given number of people in terms of employment in St. Lucia. So it means that if you have all the people employed, or try to have all the people employed in St. Lucia, there will always be a spillover because we cannot absorb everybody. The reality, therefore, is that you have the opportunity to move outside of St. Lucia, but not just move by the seat of your pants or your skirt or whatever, but with credentials that allow you to be a legal citizen and for you to be gainfully occupied.
Training in various CVQ subjects is available to the general public at the National Skills Development Center and the National Enrichment and Learning Unit. For Hot 7 News, I am Jacques Oding.
The National Farmers and General Workers Cooperative Credit Union Limited launched its Litter Less campaign, the first of a 3-year project aimed at changing the nation's attitude and behavior towards the disposal of garbage. The latest phase of the campaign involves 30,000 students from 15 schools across St. Lucia and marks changes in students' perceptions and behavior towards litter, where they themselves and their families are concerned. Rochelle Gonzalez reports.
In November 2019, which is observed as International Month of the Child, as well as Diabetes Awareness Month and the Millennium Goals 2030, the National Farmers and General Workers Cooperative Credit Union Limited launched its Litter Less campaign in the form of a cleanup fun walk. The campaign, which is entering its first year, is a 3-year project aimed at changing attitudes and behavior as it relates to the disposal of garbage and waste.
The activity is actually a week long, starting off with schools in the south. Every school in the south will be participating in a cleanup in the school, and then on Friday, one of them gets to win a business incubator compliments of the National Farmers and General Workers Cooperative Credit Union. So the winning school, the school who's going to be the cleanest, collects the most garbage, wins this business incubator. And then we move to the major activity, which is the 17th Sunday at Independence Square in Viewfort.
Project coordinator for the walk, Dave Charles, said there will be many activities attached to the event, including a free health fair, music and drama, all aimed at marrying fun with the sensitization of recycling and garbage disposal. He said the idea behind the initiative is to play a role in the fight to slow down climate change.
We're just a small country, one of the SATs, a small island developing state, right? But our impact may be small, but it is worth something. Because if everybody does what they have to in terms of emissions and in terms of garbage and in terms of using biodegradables back into compost, then we're making a change. okay, because this is our planet, and we're already at our really peak in terms of how we use garbage, how we dispose of it.
Whilst one would argue that initiatives of this sort only encourages perpetrators of indiscriminate dumping of garbage, Charles said it forces one to look at themselves and to analyze their behavior.
It's very sad that you would think, oh, I'm going to dump something out of my garbage because I'm giving somebody a job, I'm helping somebody work. This person can actually spend their time doing other kinds of work in beautifying the city rather than walking around trying to pick up garbage and unclog drains. And the funny thing is, by the time they get to the amount of, because if every single person dumps something, by the time that one person gets to clean it up, a lot of damage has been caused.
Charles said as part of the initiative, they will be partnering with BRK3 to encourage recycling, as persons will then be able to gain massive store points for turning in their recyclables. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I'm Rochelle Gonzalez.
A bold step to harness the power of public advocacy in support of environmental issues and management is underway in St. Lucia as the Ministry of Sustainable Development brought together public sector and private officials, including civil society, in a consultation to pave the way forward. Amanda Faye Clark tells us more.
The focus is on the Escazú Agreement, which places equality at the center of sustainable development and which ensures no one citizen is left behind by creating the platform where the voice and concerns of the citizenry is taken seriously in implementing programs which may affect the integrity of the environment. Acting Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Sustainable Development, Caroline Eugene, says the uniqueness of the Escazú Agreement is its 5 built-in pillars, providing environmental information, ensuring public participation in environmental decision-making, access to justice in environmental matters, provision to protect defenders of the environment, and capacity building and cooperation of and between environment stakeholders.
On March 4th, 2018, in Escazú, Costa Rica, the first regional treaty on environmental matters in Latin America and the Caribbean was adopted under the auspices of the UN ECLAC as the technical secretariat. Since then, the agreement has been opened up for signature and ratification to allow it to come into force. St. Lucia was one of the first countries that signed last year when it was open for signature. However, we have not ratified because we are now trying to create the enabling environment. We are trying to sensitize people. We are trying to build and create awareness of how important that agreement is. As a result, today is one such step that we're taking to bring key stakeholders together to basically allow you to get information on what the Escazú is, what it can do for us as all stakeholders as it relates to access to information and reporting.
Coretta Crooks Charles, Communication and Advocacy Officer of the St. Lucian National Trust, says in the case of St. Lucia, this consultation to ensure ratification of the agreement is timely. The agriculture sector, she explains, is one area that stands to benefit from increased public participation and the availability of environmental information.
It makes perfect sense to involve persons involved in the agricultural sector. At this workshop, we have persons from the fisheries department. We also have someone from agriculture, and there is someone from the farmers or the fishers cooperative. I believe we invited somebody from the beekeeping association as well. So it's important because we don't have the bees and the pollinators. It affects our certain produce. So everything is interconnected, and they too should be involved in this very important agreement.
Agriculture leaders in communication, fisheries and water resources were some of the participants at Monday's consultation, charting the way forward on strategies to augment the education, awareness and participation of agriculture constituents in environmental decision-making. From the Ministry of Agriculture, this is Amanda Faye Clark reporting.
This is the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Tennyson Glasgow is up next with all the sporting action.